Welcome back. This is the last segment of Citizens Forum. It's being filmed on January 26th, 2016. I'd like to thank again the volunteer crew and Shaw staff that makes this program happen every week. Our guest in this segment is Peter Carter. We're going to be talking about climate change, and Peter, all I can say is I think it's an absolute disaster that's already unfolding. And you said it was a record-breaking year for temperature increase, so...
Yeah, all the climate centers actually just a couple of days ago published the results that we all are on tenterhooks about. You know, did the temperature go up and how much did it go up? And the news was pretty dramatic. 2015 was another record temperature increase year, and that followed 2014, which was a record increase. But the very worrying thing is that 2015 was the biggest jump in a year ever. That's really, really worrying, particularly because we still have very high greenhouse gas emissions. And the climate experts, the experts with their models, they're saying they're pretty certain that next year is going to be another record. So that gives me more work to do, and thank you for inviting me here, because for a number of years now I've been explaining to people and making presentations at conferences in support of James Hansen, who used to be the NASA director, climate expert, that we're in a global climate planetary emergency. And so that's really painfully obvious now. We had the big Paris conference. The interesting thing and the upside about the Paris conference was that all the nations have acknowledged in very strong terms the situation that we're in. They didn't say planetary emergency, but certainly it amounts to that when you read the final document from the UN Paris Climate Conference that was published just December the 12th. So we're making progress, but the progress, like you say, you know, we are having disasters all over the planet. So there's no question that we're in a disastrous situation now. People are rapidly becoming very aware of that. As I say, the media, very aware before Paris. The corporations, before Paris, very aware. Saying that we really, really had to get down and do something serious. Pretty well all the big corporations now, you're struggling to find positive content, you know, when you're working with climate change. But all the corporations have come out strongly in favor of carbon pricing. That's good. Paris didn't get a global carbon price going, but it's good that the corporations, you know, the big banks, you know, the energy corporations, the bad guys in all of this, really, they're saying, yeah, you know, this is really serious.
We've screwed things up.
We've screwed
things up so badly that even we are going to pretend that we care.
You got it. Yeah.
The ocean is changing. It's becoming more acidic.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that, Jack. You know, the ocean still gets missed out a lot. Some of us worked very hard to keep the oceans in the Paris Climate Conference and in the final document, and we finally did. But it was really just a mention, you know, that the oceans are acidifying and warming, and this could be a problem. The ocean situation is getting right out of hand, really, really bad. I must say the ocean scientists, the marine scientists, are very sort of active and outspoken about this, you know. They're telling us in no uncertain terms that we really have to do something on an emergency basis.
Are they really saying that?
Yeah, the ocean, the marine scientists are, Jack. It's very interesting. The climate experts are not.
So the marine scientists are saying...
We are in an emergency. We really have to act dramatically, and we have to do it now.
Okay. Now, as a sort of ordinary citizen who's out there, I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing that at all. So where's our media? If our marine scientists are saying we're in big trouble, how come the Super Bowl gets like 8,000 times more coverage?
Well,
Maybe let's not go there.
no, it's actually a very important place to go. I mean, I'm checking the media every day, you know, and the material that I get from the research, there's only really a few big media sources. Most of it's coming from the scientists and the climate and the ocean institutes that I get. The Guardian in the UK, that's been outstanding for the past 2 years.
Yes.
The Independent in the UK has been outstanding for many years. In the States, the Los Angeles Times is consistently very good at reporting. That's pretty well about it, though. As you say, with the other main media outlets, you know, climate change gets swamped with all the other stuff.
And speaking of swamped, Elizabeth May said on our show a few weeks ago that if we go beyond 2 degrees of warming, then that means the Greenland ice sheet is doomed, and that meant a several meter rise in ocean levels, several meters. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's where we're going, right? We're going towards absolute disaster as fast as we can. We can't drive fast enough to get there. Christy Clark keeps raising the speed limits. And it's like nobody even knows. Nobody has time to think about it.
Yeah, it is like, and we hear, you know, from the sociologists that people have all these worries, you know, and they don't have time to worry about climate change. I sort of find that a bit hard to understand. Sea level rise is a huge worry. It's the last of our worries, however. Okay, we have food security first.
Yes.
We're now at 1.1 degrees C. This seems amazing to me. You know, it seems like only a few years ago that I was writing about 0.6 degrees C increase.
So what do you mean when you say we're at 1.1 degrees
Well, you mentioned the
centigrade?
2 degrees C.
Yeah.
Okay, we're halfway there now. We're over halfway there. The global temperature has increased by 1.1 degrees C because it's really shot up in 2014 and 2015.
Okay.
I say that the ocean level rise really, I mean, that's dramatic. So the scientists like to explain that. People can see it, people can understand it. But I work a lot more on food security with my research and presentations and water security. The last assessment of the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, I'm an expert reviewer of that. And I can tell you that we really have to get out the results that they published on our food production. We're in big trouble. The IPCC scientists, and this is quite amazing because the IPCC is a pretty cumbersome body. Everybody has to agree on everything. So they tend to be conservative, they tend to underestimate, but they said at a temperature increase of 1 degree C average, and this will put these sort of small numbers in perspective. Above 1 degree C average, all the most vulnerable countries in Africa and the low latitudes will lose food. Their crops are going to decline. That's actually started now. They also said that much above 1 degree C, and we're now at 1.1, that the regions which we had thought previously would be not vulnerable, at least until the end of the century, of declining crop yields, they said for the first time, no, we've improved our models, and they say that the global north, if I can put it like that, is going to be in trouble between 1 and 1.5 degrees C. We're all in trouble with regards to food security. It's best to say that we're in a situation now in which we're over 1 degree C, that, yeah, our food security is gone. We have to work to get it back. So while we're hearing about sea level rise, which sounds big, you know, a number of meters, but it's maybe 100 years away or whatever, we really have to think in terms of our food. Now, extreme weather events, which is a characteristic of climate change, That's why some experts call it climate disruption rather than climate change. Extreme weather events, people really are understanding now all over the world that they're on the increase, a dramatic increase. And the experts now finally have done all the research and they've said, yes, now we can say these extreme weather events, more storms, more floods, more superstorms.
We just saw a record blizzard in the eastern United States. I followed the media fairly closely. I don't think I heard once the words climate change mentioned.
I got to agree with you, Jack. I got to agree with you. The media are still bad on that. They're still reporting heat waves and droughts, okay, which are definitely global warming, climate change driven, and they're not mentioning climate change. And
I wonder why
that really, really infuriates me, to tell you the truth. Okay, because it's so well established by the scientists now, and the scientists, being scientists, took a long time, you know, with their research and models and everything to confirm it. But now they have. You know, it's bad news, but I'm a retired doctor, you know, and bad news, if it's potentially fatal, if you're in an emergency situation, can be good news, because if people intervene and do stuff, you're going to survive, right? So it's not easy to communicate the bad news of climate change because it's getting worse, okay? But we're still in a very narrow window of opportunity. I mean, we're talking about a few years in which we can get global emissions into decline, and the disasters are going to come, which you mentioned, and they're going to increase. We can't prevent that, because whatever we do, however good we do, the global temperature is going to keep on rising for
Peter,
many
we're out
decades.
of time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's where we are. So we've got to change. We individually have got to change. I don't know if we can, but it's got to happen. Thank you for watching this week's Citizens Forum.